Hey everyone. All right, we are starting a new unit. We're starting this unit and it's all about polynomials. And technically we've been dealing with polynomials, but the polynomials that we've been dealing with have been something like 3x plus 2 or the quadratics from the last unit. And so now we're going to look at some polynomials that have a degree even bigger than 2. And we're going to look at how to do some operations with them. We're going to look eventually at how to graph and solve them. But today we're just going to do kind of a brief introduction to what is a polynomial function. And this should all be review, hopefully. But a polynomial function is a monomial, which means there's only one term, or the sum of monomials in this form. And this looks kind of intimidating. This is not a formal definition that you need to memorize. But what this means is that there's a constant in front of your highest degree. And your degree keeps going down until you have x to the first. And this would technically be x to the 0, but anything to the 0 power is 1. So it's just saying that you've got a polynomial number with a variable to an exponent. Degree, the degree of a polynomial is the exponent of the variable in a term. So when we talk about the degree of a polynomial function, we're talking about the highest or the greatest value of an exponent. And we'll look at that. Standard form is just a way to write a polynomial where the terms are in descending order and thinking about their exponents. So for example, this would not be standard form because the x squared and the x should be flip-flopped. We need to put the exponents in descending order. So the correct way to write it would be to do this. And so this is standard form. And pretty much we're always going to write our polynomials in standard form. All right, so we are going to write this polynomial in standard form and then classify it by degree and by number of terms. Now let's not worry about the classifying it or the number of terms right now. Let's just focus on writing it in standard form. So what is a problem that you see with this of why it is not yet in standard form? The problem is that these terms are like terms. We can combine them. And so if I combine 4x minus 6x, I get negative 2x and then still plus 5. And then I look at my x's and they are in descending order. I've got x to the first and then a constant, so that is in standard form. Now for classifying by degree and number of terms, turn in your book to page 307 and there is a chart there that tells you based on the degree and the number of terms how we would classify it. So pause this video until you've got that chart pulled up. Okay, so we are going to look at this and say our degree is the highest exponent. So x right here is our highest exponent. So since our degree is 1, that's the biggest exponent that we have. And then we also want to look at how many terms there are. Oops. Number of terms. We would say it has 2 terms. 1, 2. So I'm going to have 2 terms. So if you look at your chart, under degree 1, it says that we would call it linear. And then when you move over to the right and you go to the number of terms column and go down to 2, it says that the name for that is a binomial. So we're going to call this one a linear binomial. And remember that these need to go in degree and then number of terms order. We don't call it a binomial linear. That's not right. This is kind of think of it as the word linear is your adjective and this is your noun. So you need to define your noun if that helps to think of it that way. All right, so try this one. Put your polynomial in standard form first. All right, when we put this in standard form, we're going to combine these like terms and we'd get 5x cubed. And then there's no other x squared, no other x, so I can just put those in the order that they're in. So now I need to classify by degree and number of terms. All right, so for degree, what is the degree, and then what are we going to call this as a result? For degree, it has a degree of 3, so it is cubic. What about number of terms? How many terms are there, and how are we going to classify it based on that? There are 3 terms, so we are going to call it a trinomial. So put it all together. Cubic trinomial. All right. And last one, let's put this in standard form. So try this one and then go ahead and classify it by degree and number of terms. All right, to put it in standard form, all I really need to do is switch the order. There's nothing to combine here because there are no like terms. So I'm going to put it like this. This would be our standard form. Degree is 5. Number of terms is 2. So because it's a degree of 5, we would call it a quintic. And number of terms, since it's 2, we'd call it a binomial. So I'm going to call this all together a quintic binomial. And there you have it. That's all we're doing so far with Unit 6. Hope that this was a little bit of review, maybe some new things, and that you're feeling pretty good about this. Let me know if you have any questions.